Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a skill that feels so basic, but, well, it's constantly underestimated. I'm talking about the art of the introduction. I mean, you, our listener, you obviously know how to say "my name is." But if you want to make a really powerful first impression,
and actually start a conversation.
Exactly, not just get polite silence, then the standard script, it just isn't going to cut it.
That's so right. There's a huge difference between, a transactional exchange where you just swap info and look away.
Yeah, that awkward moment.
And a real conversational hook. It all comes down to the language you choose and the nuance you bring to it. We're going way beyond just hello.
That's the mission for this deep dive. We're taking those building blocks you already know, name, origin, job, and we're going to upgrade them big time.
Then we'll get into injecting personality.
And finally, we'll break down the subtle but, well, they could be devastating mistakes that can undermine even a really confident delivery.
So let's get into it. The essentials first.
Okay, so starting with your name. Most people just default to "I'm name." And that's fine, it's friendly.
It is. But if that's the only thing in your toolkit, you're missing a chance to set a tone.
I was actually surprised by the variety the sources offered for just this one point.
Yeah.
You have this super casual "my name's name," but they also emphasize this other one.
That I'm called name.
Yeah, I'm called name. It feels a little more formal, but still warm. What's the difference there, really?
Well, it's a bit of a psychological thing. I'm called name just carries this little bit of establishment, a bit more confidence.
It sounds more considered than just a quick "I'm."
It does. It works so well in professional settings or any situation that's a little higher stakes. It kind of suggests subconsciously that you're someone who is used to being introduced.
So it gives you a little bit of immediate gravitas, but without sounding stiff.
Exactly. You're being deliberate with your language.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Okay.
So let's tackle origin. Because if you have roots in one place but live somewhere else, just saying "I'm from city" can be confusing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Specificity is everything here. If you've moved, you need to give both data points in one go.
So something like "I'm from city, but I live in city."
Yes. That handles the move perfectly, and it immediately gives the other person two things to ask about: your life now or your roots.
And if the move was, a long time ago,
Yeah.
you could use "I grew up in city country."
I like that one. It adds that little piece of personal history. It gives context. Or to keep it really focused on your roots, I'm originally from city country.
Right. All three just get rid of that ambiguity. Okay, let's hit the big one. The job. People ask, "What do you do?" And they're not just looking for a title. They want to know about your momentum.
Yes. They're looking for your energy. The standard, "I work as a job at company," is fine, but it's static. It's just a description.
So to inject that energy, you need to be more proactive.
Exactly. Focus on what you're doing right now. Lead with the action.
So instead of the basic answer,
You'd say something like, "I'm currently working on project goal." See how that shifts the focus from your past status to your present energy.
that's really good. And that works even if you have a static job.
Right.
You could apply it to a side project or something.
Totally. And it's so powerful for students, not just "I'm studying subject," but "I'm studying subject at university and I'm currently working on a thesis about," whatever it is.
It just gives the other person so much more to engage with. But hang on, let's talk about a trickier situation. What if you're between jobs?
Yeah.
I mean, saying that, especially when you're networking, doesn't it make you sound a little desperate or less established?
It's a valid concern, and it really comes down to how you frame it. If you're vague about it, it sounds like you're hiding something.
Right.
The sources recommend just being honest, but pairing that with a clear purpose. You don't say, "I'm unemployed."
So what's the line?
The powerful, networking-friendly line is, "I'm between jobs at the moment, but I'm actively looking for opportunities in specific field."
Ah, okay. What's the nuance there? Why does that land so much better?
Because you're setting boundaries and inviting connection at the same time. You've defined your status, so there's no guesswork, and you've given them a path to help you.
So you're coming across as proactive.
Proactive, not paralyzed. That's the key.
That shift from status to action is huge. Which brings us to our next section, because the whole point is to stand out, right? So now we move past the data points and into the personality zone. You've got to give the other person a unique hook.
And this is where hobbies come in, but, and this is a big but, only if you give details.
Right. Just listing them makes you sound like a dating profile.
It really does. You have to include the why or some rich detail that creates an opening for a question.
Okay, let's break down some of the examples we found. So don't just say you like hiking.
No. You say you love hiking in the mountains and try to go every weekend because the views are incredible. The hook isn't that you go on weekends.
It's the emotion, the incredible views. That's what's relatable.
Exactly. Or let's say you're a reader. Don't just say, I like reading.
So boring.
So boring. Say, I've been reading a lot of nonfiction lately, specifically historical biographies, and I just finished one on Theodore Roosevelt. Now they can ask about Roosevelt or nonfiction or their own last great read.
You've given them 3 different doors to walk through.
3 invitations. And with food, it's about being interactive. I'm a big foodie, so I spend a lot of time trying new restaurants and experimenting in the kitchen.
That's a great 2-part hook. They can recommend a place to you.
Or ask what you like to cook. It's perfect.
And what about something like gaming?
With gaming, you have to explicitly invite them in. Say something like, I enjoy strategy games, like Civ or Stellaris. And then immediately,
Where you play?
Do you play? What are you into right now? That direct question is the bridge. You have to build the bridge.
The sources also mention sharing something genuinely unique. The facts that make people go, oh, wow, like climbing Mount Fuji or being a certified scuba diver.
Yeah, or volunteering at an animal shelter.
What makes those so effective?
It's not just the achievement, it's the story they imply. When you say you're a scuba diver, they don't just hear diver. They're thinking, oh, this person travels, they're adventurous, they like the ocean.
It paints a high-resolution picture of your personality almost instantly.
Right. But here's the crucial warning. If you deliver this amazing 5-star introduction with all these cool facts and then you just stop,
You've failed.
you've completely failed. An introduction has to be a 2-way street.
The transition back to them is non-negotiable.
Absolutely. You've just given them all this interesting info. Now you have to ask them a specific open-ended question.
So if you just talked about your job and hobbies, what's the natural follow-up?
The easiest one is, what about you? What do you do in your free time? Or you can connect it to where you are.
Use the context of the environment.
Yes. If you're at a conference, don't ask, how are you? Ask, what brings you here today? Or which talk are you most excited about? It makes the connection mutual and immediate.
All right, let's see these pieces in action. We've pulled 3 examples that combine everything, and they show how the context, casual, formal, professional, really changes the emphasis.
And as you listen, pay attention to the flow. Notice how fast each one moves from who they are to inviting a response.
Okay, first up, the super casual scenario. Let's say you're at a coffee shop or a really low-key party. The tone is light, immediate.
Here it is.
Hey, I'm Dane. I'm originally from the US, but I've been living in London for the past 3 years. I work as a freelance writer, and honestly, in my free time, I love exploring the city and trying new, independent coffee shops. I'm trying to find the best espresso in this neighborhood. What about you? What do you do around here?
See, that works because it's so efficient, and it gives a really specific, relatable goal finding the best espresso.
That's the hook.
That's the hook.
Yeah.
It makes the location relevant, and it invites them to share their own experience of the place.
Okay, now let's dial it up a bit. Slightly more formal. Maybe a university event or a friend's big birthday party where you don't know anyone.
The language shifts a little here.
Hello, I'm called Name, and I'm a student here at the local university studying English literature. I actually grew up in a really small town, so moving here has been a big change, and I'm really enjoying the course so far. I hope to write literary criticism after graduation. What brings you here today?
Did you catch the changes? We used I'm called Name, and they introduced a future goal.
The literary criticism part?
Yeah, that gives more depth, shows their trajectory, and finishing with that contextual question, what brings you here today, is just respectful of the event itself.
Okay, finally, the big one. Networking, the professional setting where your value has to be super clear.
This is where you need to combine your title with your motivation.
Hi, I'm Name. I work as a marketing manager at Tech Solutions. My main responsibility is overhauling our social media strategy to target new demographics. What I'm truly passionate about is using technology to connect people in meaningful ways. I'm here to see what new ideas are being shared in the industry. What kind of work are you involved in right now?
That example is fantastic. It does exactly what we were talking about earlier. It shows momentum.
Right. It's not just a title.
It's the title, then a specific current project, the overhaul, and then it frames it all within a higher value, a passion. And that value statement is way more memorable than just your company name.
Knowing how to build the perfect introduction is only half of it, though.
Yep.
Now we have to talk about the pitfalls, the things that can sink a perfect script. Let's start with the content disasters. Being too brief and rambling.
Being too brief is a conversation killer. My name is Name, nice to meet you, and then Nothing.
It just signals that you're not invested.
Not at all. And it puts all the pressure on the other person to keep things going. It's a lot of work for them.
But the flip side, the ramble, is just as bad.
Yeah.
We've all been trapped by that person who gives you their entire 5-minute work history.
Oh, it's painful.
Why do we do that? And how do we stop?
It usually comes from anxiety. You're trying to overcompensate, to prove your worth by just dumping data on them, but you lose their attention so fast.
So what's the rule?
The sources suggest a really practical rule, the 60-second limit. Your whole opening package name, context, hook it, should never, ever go over a minute any longer, and you're just draining their energy.
The 60-second rule. I like that. It's actionable. Okay, let's shift from content to delivery.
Yeah.
Because the nonverbals are everything.
They really are. And two of the biggest failures here are about sincerity and confidence, not making eye contact, and mumbling.
If you don't make eye contact, you just seem disingenuous or nervous.
Or just distracted. Confidence and trust are built on eye contact. It's the foundation. You have to look at the person you're talking to.
And the mumbling. So you don't believe what you're saying is important enough to be heard clearly.
Exactly. It screams a lack of confidence. You have to speak clearly, project your voice. If you practice it out loud, you won't sound so uncertain in the moment.
And the final mistake, the one that makes all this prep useless, is not listening.
Ugh, this is the most frustrating one. An introduction isn't a speech. It's a ritual you share.
A two-way street.
It is. If you spend all this time on your perfect intro, and then while they're sharing their info, you're just busy thinking about what you're going to say next.
You've lost the whole opportunity.
The connection is gone before it even started. You have to actively listen for their hooks and then respond to what they share. That's where the real connection actually begins.
So what's the big takeaway here for you? Introducing yourself is so much more than just swapping names. It's about connection, building rapport. It's even self-advocacy. The main thing from everything we've synthesized is to be yourself, be deliberate with your words, and be confident in the value you're bringing.
And look, this isn't theoretical. You only get better by actually doing it. So we have a practice challenge for you. Some really actionable steps you can start right now.
First, practice in a mirror. But don't focus on your words. Focus on your body language. Are your arms crossed? Are you smiling?
Are you nodding to show you're engaged? Those little nonverbal cues.
Next, record yourself on your phone. Don't just watch it. Listen back. Catch all the unnecessary ums and ahs. Check your tone and your clarity. A recording catches things a mirror can't.
Then practice with a friend and ask them for specific feedback. Was your hobby detail interesting? Was your job description clear? Ask them about your hooks.
Get that direct feedback.
And finally, use these new phrases in low-stakes situations. A new online group, a language exchange app, whatever. The more you use this language, the more natural it's going to feel.
And here's the ultimate challenge. The thing that will really push your progress forward. Challenge yourself to introduce yourself using these techniques to one new person every single day for a week.
It doesn't have to be a big deal.
Not at all. It could be a new neighbor, the cashier you see all the time, a colleague from another department. The more you flex this muscle, the easier and more successful your introductions are going to become. Now go out there and make some incredible first connections.
Happy day.